Hey, Tyler, look, it took me long enough, but I got somebody from Moravian.
I know.
We're here with Scott Dams,
I
who's
don't know what
the
that says
V.
about you, George. I don't know what
I
that says
know
about
that
your affiliation with.
nobody would come on. No, we're here with Scott Dams. He's a VP of Enrollment and Marketing at Moravian College. Scott, how's it going?
It's going great. Give a
Good as it can. What's
shout
that?
out for the Moravian hat as well as the 76ers hat. I spent 20 years in Philadelphia, so I'm already feeling really welcomed here on this call.
My Moravian diploma is over there behind the TV. I'm not going to turn this around.
If you want to talk about Moravian, hold on.
Oh, here you go. Oh, yeah, this is
Okay. This is on. A little dust on it.
Oh, look at that.
Wow, look at that.
My dad was the assistant coach right there.
Hey.
And Moravian basketball.
He was coach with Jim Walker.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know Coach Walker.
Yeah.
We had a little time together before he retired.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sure. Spent a lot of time at Moravian. A lot of time there.
Me too. It's been a while, but
Who spent more time, me or you? Did you get out in 4, George?
I did. You know what though? When I was at Moravian, I loved being on campus so much. Like I would stay in the summer and pay rent and
That makes sense.
stay there.
That makes sense.
I didn't want to go home because there was nothing to go home. Like I'd rather stay at Moravian and like work.
I don't know if the staff at Moravian felt the same about you.
They probably did. I was like the only guy on campus. It was me and like 2 other kids. Scott, tell us a little bit about. It's been unprecedented. Tell us a little bit about what is going on from like your perspective over the course of the last 2 months. How do you go from having students who are going, walking to class to now have to do everything online?
Yeah, it's been a heck of a 2 months. It's interesting. I talked to buddies and they're picking up old hobbies, learning how to play guitar again. And I can tell you, I've never been busier. I know our leadership and a lot of the folks at the college, it's been a tremendous pressure, really on all colleges across the country. First of all, we're really proud of the college's response. We were able to keep all of our students and faculty and staff safe. We kept our dorms open for quite a while. There was some schools that were really kind of reactionary, and things were happening really fast. Colleges have traditionally been pretty slow to transform. The same model of delivering education has been in place for decades, and we're the 6th oldest college in the country. For us, really, before there was a country, we've been doing things, in a pretty similar way. There's lots of transformation and innovation in the classroom, but the way that we deliver it and, colleges are built on bringing people together, right? So the social constructs of a college, the architecture. So beyond the normal kind of social distancing and quarantine pressures that are put on society, it's been hyper intense at colleges where we're kind of trying to do the opposite. So, like I said, first of all, we're thrilled that, our students and faculty and staff have remained safe. We're just as proud that we didn't miss a day of class. So, Moravian.
I wonder how proud the students are, though. They're like, really? We couldn't miss one day for this?
I know, right? And the students have been so resilient. I go back to the 80s when I was in college, and God knows what I would have been up to as soon as this happened, but probably not. Probably not worried about my classes as much as I have. But our students are completely engaged, and hats off to the faculty for not missing a beat. We've had the advantage of investing in technology. 6 years ago, we started giving every freshman, all of our staff, all of our faculty, MacBooks and iPads. We started heavily investing, and this was under President Grigsby. When he came in, it was very important to invest in the technological infrastructure of the college.
Because you guys, Moravian was like certified by Apple, correct? We helped out with a video for that. I forget the exact terminology.
Yeah, we're one of, I think it's 23 Apple distinguished schools in the country. So, I look at what other colleges are going through right now, and just that part of it, just trying to ensure that all of your students have computers that work to be able to continue classes. We were kind of light years ahead of everyone else, and we've been really working on how to leverage that technology in the classroom. So, yeah, we've been all right. I mean, it's been a tremendous kind of grind for everyone. From delivering meals to kids in their dorm rooms and trying to keep those kids safe. But from what's happening in the classroom, our faculty has really had a really quick kind of evolution, and our students have been engaging in classroom, and they're on track to graduate.
So what is it? Well, go ahead, Tyler.
Would you attribute that to the things you put in place before this was even happening? How quickly you can adapt when needed to.
A bunch of it, that and the faculty, and like I said, the students' willingness. And we honestly get great kids here. Like I said, many colleges had to figure out for the first few weeks how to get technology. It could have been special grants or getting Chromebooks or just working with students to ensure that we were able to just pretty much switch and tomorrow you're going to be online. We've done some work, and I'll talk about some of the stuff we're doing with Graduate. Some of our actual online programs that we've launched over the last few years have prepared us for this as well. So,
we were going to talk about the fall. We might as well talk about it now. Moravian's launching an online MBA in the fall, and could you talk to us about that? I mean, Tyler, it's something you should look into.
I don't have the undergrad yet.
We'll take care of that too. We only got anything but time now.
We have a couple things that I'll mention. We do we're kind of relaunching what we call our adult degree completion for folks who have started bachelor's degrees and want to complete them. So I'll throw a shameless plug in for that. Really, when you talk about adult students, so folks who want to finish their bachelor's degree or graduate students who want to go on and get that master's. We actually launched our first doctoral program a couple of years ago. It's all about access, right? I mean, we're living in a much busier time than you guys are than when I went to school in the 80s, where families, work requirements, social engagements were just scheduled to the point where we started to realize that access to education, the concept of someone even driving from the other side of the Lehigh Valley, we'd get students from Emmaus, you're talking about at this point, a 30 or 40 minute commute each way after a longer work week. So we really have had a laser focus on how can we deliver education to the student. And that's where this really recognition for the need to invest in online learning came from. So there's my plug for kind of all adult and graduate students. One of the growing areas right now is online graduate business programs. 2 years ago, we partnered with a company called Extension Engine. And we actually, I'll say we were lucky enough to partner with them. They're world thought leaders in custom online learning experiences, and they work. When you look at the list, you kind of do a double take when you see Moravian on the list. It's the Smithsonian, Harvard, MIT, Notre Dame, and we actually had to interview with them for them to, let us pay them a lot of money to work with us. Pretty much, it was kind of an interesting experience. We worked with Extension Engine to build our first graduate business program online, which is the Master's of Science in Predictive Analytics, Big Data. That was launched last year, and we're following that up this year, working with Extension Engine again, and of course, our own faculty to launch the MBA.
And what's the end game? Like when you look at the big scheme of things, clearly in class, instruction is important for a lot of things, but if you could do this online instruction, where does it end? I mean, you could potentially have classes with people around the world. I mean,
yeah, World domination is on my list for sure.
That's good. You got to start somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, we're starting with access, and we're finding our local and our regional market is responding really well. It could be people that live 5 miles away who, like I said, the scheduling piece is big for them. There's a couple different kinds of online learning. One of them is what you would call asynchronous, which is a fancy way of saying you don't have to be live. It's not like you logging into a call like we're on right now. So asynchronous learning, you need to put a little bit more thought into developing those courses. You're not just recording a lecture or lecturing live. There's different ways to kind of deliver that learning. Extension Engine's been really helpful with teaching us how to do some of that. Where I think this is going, the term I've been using a lot lately is Moravian College as an education solutions provider. So the traditional way that especially adult and graduate education's been delivered is we have this program that we built, and we want you to come here at these times during the week. We know that this is what you need to learn, and then we'll give you this piece of paper, and then you have to kind of figure out how that works into your career or your business place. So what's really been helpful the last year that we've been working with local organizations and companies is saying, what can we do for you? Like what as an education solutions provider, and we've had these incredible conversations around anything from unbundling a degree, customized learning. When we built that predictive analytics program I mentioned, and now that we're building this, we're launching the MBA, we're actually working with local companies to use real world business problems. So instead of just sending your student here, we'll come to your place of work. We'll come to your factory and have classes on campus. You'll have access to faculty. We'll use real business problems. We could customize a degree. Yeah.
Well, Tyler, I have a question for you. I know I have a question for you before you go. Like, what kind of learner are you? Because I definitely did different classes I've had at Moravian.
Are you asking me?
Well, yeah, because I can do it on a YouTube.
The hard way. I learned the hard way.
By just somebody beating you over the head with it. Like, it's weird because I had to learn certain things. You throw it on YouTube now. There's knowledge everywhere. But
you could tell me the stove is hot, but I wouldn't believe you until I burned my hand on it.
All right, go ahead.
Well, that's kind of where I was going with my question. The first thing you said when we started this was how colleges took for a long time took the same approach to teaching, right? What you're talking about now is it changes the landscape of learning. And do you expect that to change the demographics of your student body? And does that make the way will that have to change how you tailor education if your student body changes, if it becomes an older student body, or because you can't teach a 17-year-old freshman the same way you're going to teach a 34-year-old full-time working single parent, right? So is that something that is all thrown, how do you tailor the education towards each person?
Great question. And I'll go to your comment about you need to put your hand on the stove. And no pun intended, that hands-on learning, right, is experiential learning is something that that's how I learn best also, is I got to get out there and do it.
Yep.
And that's why really we've had such a great response. Instead of having these theoretical, problems for students to work on, to be able to come and say, here's a problem that we encountered today at PP&L. How can we work on that? Or at B. Braun, and then you can kind of chop that up with the faculty and other classmates. As far as the demographic, we've seen that a little bit already, and that's both with our graduate programs, also the adult degree completion. And I think it's really cool. I mean, I think that having diversity, age diversity is something that can really help. And as we've been doing better, providing that access to adult students, having someone who's got life experience sitting next to a 23-year-old student, there's a lot of benefits to that.
Well, I don't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
You're talking about nights. My senior year, I had to take a lot of night classes because I worked during the day, and there were a couple adult students, I guess, for lack of a better term, in there. And we thought, at the time, I thought they were the oldest human beings on earth. And I'm like, man, you're in here learning. Here I am. They are definitely younger than I am now.
I just did it. I took a couple classes at Northampton Community College last year, and I became that person. I became that old student. Like that the last time I was there, I was like, look at this guy. He's like 30.
He's 30.
I'm 30 in it.
But with today's climate, even with how we're communicating right this second, learning these things, it seems like there's new things to learn all the time too. Like that's evolving. There need to be solutions in businesses. I've experienced it where there are people who are in businesses. They've been there for a while and they can barely open up a spreadsheet or something like that.
That's like, have you noticed? I mean, I know this is very early on, but some of the businesses that you plan to include in the hands-on learning, how excited are they to get involved, and how beneficial would it be for a student to be out in the field learning with a company to build a relationship or to network there as well? It seems like it's a win-win for everybody, right?
Yeah, another great question. It's a two-way street, the information flow, and the businesses are very excited that we're kind of asking them what they need and what they want to really engage in. And then the other interesting thing is our faculty, right? So you look at the other side, and if it's a faculty person who's been teaching for a bunch of years to learn from industry what's really happening and to kind of incorporate that in their learning. We are another thing I'll mention, I want to underscore, is with people who have work experience, we're paying a lot of attention and investing in something called prior learning assessment, which is a fancy way to say we give you credit for what you know. So we have a lot of, a big obstacle to people is, I always wanted to finish my degree, or I always wanted to get my MBA, and then kind of life gets in the way. You start working, maybe you get promoted, you're successful, you're having fun. We, maybe not for the having fun part, but for like the work part, we'll work with you, connect you with a faculty person, and you might be able to get credit for a class or 2 classes or 4 classes for that life and work experience, and that shortens your time to degree and also reduces the cost. Plus those interactions with faculty they love, because they love hearing about what's going on out there. As far as doing it online, I don't think I need to remind you guys, especially now, how important it is to be able to do what we're doing. I mean, the skills that you build learning how to talk to your class online and do capstone projects with local businesses couldn't be more relevant nowadays.
Well, I think it's cool. Like what I'm hearing is like, because a lot of, not just college, but a lot of schooling, a lot of education, there's requirements and you're learning things that you don't feel will be applied one day. But when you're going out in the field, it almost becomes a more you can go to the businesses and say, what do you want students coming out of college to know, right? And it's a more streamlined education, right? Where, okay, you might not need to know this thing that I taught in this class, but here's a list of things that maybe
we even did. We had like I don't mean to interrupt, but like even with our intern, we currently, Allison, it's all in flux, but we have a Northampton Community College intern, and we've had 3 interns from Moravian. Yeah. And on nearly all of them, there's no, I mean, we're looking at my office right now, there's no, where they're coming in and getting coffee and all that. It was 100% doing stuff, and being accountable. And it was amazing to me how well they were able to adapt to that and had self-accountability and got things in on time. And that, I'm not that old, but I'm still kind of old. And when I interned, when I was at Moravian, we were still using a fax machine. This is 2003. And it's just amazing how different it is.
It happens fast. It feels like overnight. I mean, I think I got you guys by maybe a generation. And I was just talking to my wife last night about how, generation, if you look at the study of generations a little bit, a big part of that is kind of shared experiences and events, and talk about the COVID generation. I'm thinking about my 4-year-old, my 8-year-old daughters who are also digital natives. So not only do you have this quarantine, but you also have people who didn't know a world without iPads and MacBooks.
And think about these high school and college seniors, or anybody who's in high school or college right now, 20 years from now, they're talking at some wedding. Oh, I graduated in 2020, and then you have a share. What was your senior graduation like when you couldn't do it? So it is something where you're, even though we're like 50 odd days into it, we're still living it every day. We're in the thick of history, and it's interesting because you can only debate what's going to happen or speculate what's going to happen on the other side of this, and some of it's exciting and some of it's pretty frightening, but it is nice to know that we're in it together like this, and that there are, especially like if I was in college right now, it'd be nice to know that my college has said, hey, we're going to still stick at it. We're not leaving you out here on an island and saying go back to your hometown. We'll see you next fall. It's nice to know that there's that support.
The kids have been our student government. Shout out to them. They've been fantastic, and our faculty. They've, beyond just running the classes, they really have kept the sense of community going, which is super important. One thing that all colleges are keeping. I mean, this is the anxiety of the country in general. The world is just off the charts right now, and our students are having spirit weeks and talent shows and seeing the kids really engage with what's going on. In our week, we had a seminar called an In Focus seminar, which was global. We had hundreds of people from scarcity, inequality, community aspect, which is something that the region for decades, trying to keep that alive as much as possible, as are you guys with this.
Yeah, and we got obviously a part of the college experience is being on campus, right? Finding where you fit in and finding, interest when you aren't at your parents' house. And right now that's a little bit on hold. How weird is it, and how excited are you to get that back to normal?
Because it is
such a,
like, not exactly what you're saying. Like, that is the one bummer out of all this, I would have to say, is that, can you imagine if this was your, whatever, it doesn't matter what grade you are. One of my favorite memories of Moravian is this time of year, being on the quad, people are outside.
Yeah.
That's part of the college experience for some people who choose to stay on campus. It is a shame that they're going to miss that, but I guess there is, something to look forward to.
It's, it's heartbreaking. It really is to see, these young adults pour everything they've had into this experience, and, the words that they would use are to have that taken away or robbed. We are, and hopefully I'll see you guys there as well. Right now we are planning on having graduate celebrations in the fall. Hopefully we'll be able to convene. We're going to have some really fun stuff centered around homecoming weekend. So stay tuned for those updates. Just, they deserve a chance to celebrate, to recognize, to kind of come back together. So we're working on that really hard to make that happen for them.
Well, Scott, Tyler knows this. Well, Tyler, do you know this? I'm the president of
I know.
I'm president of the Moravian College Alumni.
Wait, I have a tally. That makes the 1,000th time you've mentioned that you're the president.
My first meeting is Saturday. It's the first time I get to lead.
We're thinking they're going to stage a coup against George.
I'm going to have one meeting and it's out. But no, my point is, I'm looking forward to it's homecoming, and now my daughter is going to turn 4 this summer, and I can't wait for her to experience and kind of remember, going down to the football games and everything. I can almost throw a rock and hit it from here, and it's
right. Well, that's the thing coming from Moravian College has been. I didn't go there. My mom went there, and my dad coached. It's been a huge part of my life. So, if there is a senior in high school, right, that's trying to figure out where to go, watching this, hopefully what they can they can get some confidence that even in a time like this, the college has their back and they have a lot of offerings for the student? And also, what message would you give to the student that is already at Moravian that is struggling with the whole, man, I feel like this has gotten taken away from me? Knowing that down the road there are things planned, but what could you tell them to kind of not comfort them, but in a way comfort them?
Great. It's a great question. I'll lead with thanking, George for his service that's coming up as an alumni and for your shout out. One of the things that we're doing and that we do in enrollment, and George and I will work together on this, is our alumni do outreach to our prospective students and our students. And one thing that I tell all of our prospective students is when you come to Moravian, you become part of that. And, graduating from the 6th oldest college in the country, we've got really deep rooted kind of network all over the world. And that's something that's really special. It's one of those a kind of intangible benefits that you connect into when you become a hound. What I tell students now, the interesting thing is we are telling them and we are comforting them. We've launched a few weeks ago a campaign to call every active student. So I've signed up. I've got a list of 5 students' names. We call them and we just say, hi, how are you doing? And that's something that I'm really proud of. Maybe beyond everything else, it's just, George and you, Tyler, can probably attest. That is the Moravian way. Is we stay connected, we support each other. The students who we are connecting with, it means the world to them. And I don't know if you've seen, the president's been writing really frequent communications to the community. That has meant the world to the families and the students. Everyone feels informed and supported. So yeah, we're trying to talk to them. We are concerned about everyone's kind of just mental well-being and checking in with them and keeping them connected. And like I said, thanks again for the shout out. We'll continue to leverage our passionate alumni to work with us.
I met people that played basketball. My dad coached, so his players I got to be friendly with, and it was always super cool to me to see how many people went to Moravian from not the Lehigh Valley, from farther away places, but still live in Bethlehem.
Yeah.
So George, you're one of them, right? So yeah. I think it says a lot about what their experience at Moravian and
honestly, when I came there, I fell in love with the city and the area. I'm like, where am I going to go? I really enjoyed it. I have one thing I want to share. I hope I don't get in trouble for this, but this was somebody took this. I know. So I can edit this out if I need to. Somebody shared this. It's the Moravian. So what is it, Amos? And he has the mask on. And the Lions across the street from Penn State, Hotel Bethlehem, no mask.
I love that.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just saying. Now, we love Penn State, too. A little bit of – don't get mad at me. A little bit of fun.
I do I went to Temple, so I don't really love Penn State that much. Now I got
That's fine. I don't want anybody to yell at me.
Most of my friends went to Penn State, so I give them a hard time. But I will tell you, when they installed that Nittany Lion, I did take that personally. So I brought the enrollment team to lunch that week, and we dressed the Nittany Lion in Moravian gear. Immediately taken down. But I encourage any alumni out there to do similar things to the Nittany Lion. Maybe we should edit
the Nittany Lion's taking up a seat. That's a perfectly
right.
A person can sit there. It's taking up a whole seat. So.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah, exactly. And you see that Amos doesn't do that, right?
Well, whenever we go by, my daughter's always like, "Oh, I want to see the tiger," and then we're like, "It's a lion." And then I'm like, "Well, don't you want to see Amos really instead?" And so I'm trying to persuade her over, but she still loves the tiger. So.
Well, with your new gig, George, you can arrange a meet and greet with Amos with your daughter.
Yeah, it'll work on it.
Take care of her.
All right, hey, thanks so much. We appreciate it. Well, we're going to link to everything, so if anybody wants to learn more about Moravian, they're going to have ample ways to do so. We appreciate you taking the time, and we hope that we get through this, and we can kind of get back to whatever new normal is going to be there on the other side. So
hey, thanks for the opportunity to speak about something I'm so passionate about, Moravian College. And if you have a 76ers podcast, count me in on that. We'll talk about the process.
When they come back, we're the sky's the limit at this point. So we're in. All right.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Talk to you.
Bye.